Hey there. I just wanted to start making a series of videos that would be beneficial for beginners, myself especially. Personal trainers, coaches, online videos that you might watch are very technical in their terminology when they talk about movement and exercise and everything. So I want to either kind of translate that or get you on the same wavelength of understanding. So when you watch those videos, when you watch these videos and read stuff online, you have the basic understanding of what's going on. So I want to talk first about internal and external rotation, what that even means, what it is, and why it's important. So when I specifically talk about internal external rotation, I'm usually always talking about either shoulders or hips. I'm doing it with my hip, you can't see it. But the reason why that's important is because um, internal and external rotation of your shoulder is referring to the two bookend positions. There's flexion, extension. I can get into those on a different video, but today we're just going to talk about rotation and creating torque. Okay, so I might be going off a little bit here, but as far as your shoulders, as your hips are concerned, if you want to stabilize those joints so that they're in a good position and you're safe when you're exercising, squatting, doing push-ups, whatever, you need to create torque through the system, which is your shoulder, which is your hip. How do you create that stability? How do you create that torque? You rotate. So there's two ways you can go about it: internal or external rotation. Um, in order to create torque, you want to generally, for most movements, you want to externally rotate. So if I'm externally rotating my arms, I'm screwing them in, thinking about breaking the bar. If I'm doing presses, if I'm doing push-ups, I'm trying to screw my hands into the ground. I'm externally rotating. I'm creating tension through my shoulder, and I'm putting it in a good position. Okay. If you internally rotate, that's opening up the shoulder, putting it in a loose, less than ideal position. So a good example for that is if you think of your shoulders and your hips are a ball and socket joint. So this is my humerus, the bone in my arm, and this is where it moves around on the scapula. Okay, that's surrounded with a ball of tissue. So if I externally rotate, I tighten up that whole system, and it's really tensioned. It's in a good position. If I internally rotate, it loosens it up, and it's a lot less stable moving around in your shoulder. So if you're doing push-ups, just specifically, if you're doing push-ups and you internally rotate at the shoulders and your elbows flare out, you're just hanging on the meat, hanging on the tissues, and then you might get shoulder pain when you're doing push-ups. Same thing with squats. If you squat and your knees touch each other, your hips, your femurs internally rotating, the system's open, you're just hanging on the tissues. So why is that important, the differentiating the two? Um, if you if you create external rotation torque, you put yourself in a good position, then you're a lot more stable. But you really got to think about that. Your body is an amazing problem solving machine. If you don't give it tension, if you don't forcefully externally rotate through the shoulders, through the hips when you're squatting, when you're doing push-ups, you don't think about what's going on, your body's going to find stability itself if you don't give your body stability. By that I mean, if you don't purposely externally rotate and you go down and do a push-up, your body's going to find stability in that internally rotated position, and it's just going to hang on the tissues. And you can do this a long time until one day you can't. You could probably be the best athlete in your gym, the strongest person you know, until one day you tear something in your shoulder because you're just wasting all these duty cycles. You're just wearing away at the tissues. So it'll work until it doesn't work. Think about external rotation torque, putting yourself in a good position. Same thing with screwing your feet into the ground, screwing your femurs into their sockets. If ever you've heard the cue knees out, we don't literally mean get your knees to go that way. That's just a very simple basic cue that coaches use to have you externally rotate through your hips, and as a result of that external rotation, the knees should be going out. Okay? If you guys have any questions, if that wasn't easy enough, please tell me. I'll try to make it simpler. Hope that helped out. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these as they relate to just beginner stuff. If you guys have questions, maybe you heard a term that I said or someone else said and you asked me, what does that mean? I'd love to make a video. See you guys tomorrow.